Christmas. The word itself conjures images of warmth and light. Twinkling lights adorn evergreen trees. Presents lie beneath, wrapped in colorful paper and ribbon. Families gather, drawn together by the spirit of the season. Laughter spills out from cozy homes, filled with the scent of cinnamon and pine. It is a time for joy, for generosity, for celebrating with loved ones. But beneath this veneer of merriment lies a deeper, older magic. A magic born of darkness and the ancient traditions of Yule. Christmas as we know it is a relatively recent invention. It is a tapestry woven from threads of many cultures and traditions. At its heart lies Yule, a pagan festival celebrated long before the arrival of Christianity. Yule marked the winter solstice, the shortest day and longest night of the year. It was a time when the world held its breath, shrouded in darkness. Yet it was also a time of hope, a celebration of the sun's eventual return. Yule was a time of feasting and storytelling, of rituals and offerings designed to ward off evil spirits and welcome back the light. It was a time when the veil between the worlds of the living and the dead was at its thinnest. It was a time for ghost stories. Yule, a festival steeped in ancient tradition, predates Christmas by centuries. Its roots reach deep into the soil of northern Europe, where the winter is long and the nights are dark. For the people of these lands, the winter solstice was a time of both trepidation and anticipation. The sun, source of life and warmth, had dwindled to its weakest point. Darkness reigned supreme. Yet even in the depths of winter there was hope. The solstice marked not only the longest night, but also the sun's rebirth. From this point onwards, the days would gradually grow longer. Light would triumph over darkness. Yule was a celebration of this cycle, a time to honor the delicate balance between death and rebirth, darkness and light. Central to the Yuletide celebrations was the belief that during this time, the veil separating the world of the living from the realm of the dead thinned. Spirits could cross over more easily, making their presence known to mortals. This belief gave rise to a rich tradition of storytelling, filled with tales of ghostly visitations, supernatural beings, and mythical creatures. The winter solstice, the heart of Yule, is a time of profound symbolism. It is the longest night of the year, a time when darkness reigns and the sun seems distant. This darkness, however, is not something to be feared. It is a necessary part of the cycle of life, death, and rebirth. Just as a seed must lie dormant in the cold earth before it can sprout, so too must the world experience darkness before it can welcome the light. Yule acknowledges this duality. It is a time to honor the darkness, to acknowledge the mysteries that lie beyond our understanding. But it is also a time to celebrate the inevitable return of the light, the promise of new beginnings. This cycle of death and rebirth is echoed in the natural world, in the falling leaves and dormant trees that will burst forth with new life come spring. The thinning of the veil between the worlds during Yule adds another layer of symbolism. It is a reminder that death is not the end, but rather a transition to another state of being. The spirits that walk among us during this time are not necessarily malevolent. They are reminders of our ancestors, of the interconnectedness of all things. Among the many ghostly figures associated with Yule, the Wild Hunt stands out as particularly chilling. Imagine, if you will, a dark winter's night. The wind howls outside, rattling the shutters and sending shivers down your spine. Suddenly the night is pierced by the unearthly sound of baying hounds and the ghostly clang of hooves on frozen ground. This, according to legend, is the Wild Hunt. Led by Odin, the Norse god of the hunt, or other figures depending on the region and legend, the Wild Hunt is a terrifying procession of spectral riders and hounds that are said to race across the winter sky, chasing lost souls or perhaps hunting for those foolish enough to be out after dark during Yule. To witness the Wild Hunt was considered a harbinger of misfortune, even death. The Wild Hunt is a potent symbol of the untamed forces of nature, a reminder that even in the depths of winter, there are powers beyond our control. It is a tale that speaks to our primal fears of the dark, of the unknown, and of the thin veil that separates our world from the next. In Norse mythology, the Draugr are among the most fearsome creatures associated with winter and the Yuletide season. These are not your typical ghosts, content to drift through walls and moan softly. Draugr are the restless dead, animated corpses filled with a malevolent life force that anchors them to the world of the living. Driven by greed, vengeance, or a powerful need to protect their burial sites, Draugr are formidable foes. They possess superhuman strength, the ability to shapeshift, and a hunger for the living that is never satiated. They haunt the long, dark nights of Yule, their presence a chilling reminder of the power of the past to reach into the present. Tales of Draugr often served as cautionary tales, reminding people to respect the dead and to honor their final resting places. These stories, passed down through generations, added an extra layer of fear and fascination to the already eerie atmosphere of the Yuletide season. Section 6. Grendel, Terror in the Yuletide. The epic poem Beowulf, while not explicitly a Christmas story, features a monstrous antagonist whose reign of terror is inextricably linked to the Yuletide season, Grendel. This hideous creature, descended from a race of monsters, is an embodiment of the darkness and chaos that ancient people believed thrived during the long winter nights. Grendel's reign of terror over Heorot, the hall of King Hrothgar, lasts for 12 long years, a period that coincides with the 12 days of Yule. He preys on the hall's inhabitants, his monstrous strength and insatiable bloodlust making him a terrifying adversary. Grendel's association with the Yuletide season reinforces the idea that during this time, when the boundaries between the worlds are blurred, malevolent forces are at their strongest. While Beowulf ultimately defeats Grendel, the monster's story serves as a chilling reminder of the darkness that lurks at the edges of our world, particularly during the darkest time of the year. It is a reminder that even in the midst of celebration, we are never far from the shadows. Section 7. A Victorian Christmas of Ghosts. The Victorians, with their fascination for the macabre and the supernatural, embraced the tradition of telling ghost stories during the Christmas season. Charles Dickens's A Christmas Carol is perhaps the most famous example, but it was far from the only one. During the Victorian era, it was common for families to gather around the fire on Christmas Eve and share tales of spirits and hauntings. This tradition, rooted in the belief that the veil between the living and the dead is thinnest during the Yuletide season, added an eerie yet thrilling dimension to the holiday festivities. These stories served as both entertainment and a reminder of the moral lessons that were central to Victorian values. Section 8. Modern Traditions. While the custom of telling ghost stories at Christmas has waned in some parts of the world, it has persisted in others and even seen a resurgence in recent years. Modern adaptations of classic tales, as well as new stories inspired by the old tradition, continue to captivate audiences. Television specials, films, and even podcasts have embraced the spooky side of the season, offering a blend of nostalgia and contemporary storytelling. This modern revival of Yuletide ghost stories reflects a timeless human fascination with the supernatural and the unknown, reminding us that the darker aspects of the season are still very much a part of our cultural fabric. Section 9. The enduring allure of Yuletide ghost stories. The tradition of telling ghost stories during the Yuletide season endures because it speaks to a deep-seated part of the human psyche. As the nights grow longer and the days colder, we are drawn to the warmth of the hearth and the company of loved ones, and in that cozy setting, tales of the supernatural tap into our primal fears and curiosities. These stories, whether ancient or modern, remind us of the thin line between light and darkness, between the known and the unknown. They offer both a thrill and a comfort, a way to confront our fears while surrounded by the safety of home and family. In this way, the tradition of Yuletide ghost stories continues to enchant and intrigue, a timeless part of our holiday celebrations.